Hey guys, this is Gwendolyn, and for today's video, we're going to continue on our relationship discussion with Kris and Alexis, and this discussion would be the interracial dating and attraction.
That was good.
I know.
To show them that we're going to comfort them emotionally, and that we're going to challenge them intellectually in a healthy way, and that we're going to lead them spiritually,
Yes.
and just love them unconditionally. These are the things that a man does for
That's
this
right.
woman.
And I think you do all of those things.
Yeah, I try, definitely.
I absolutely. Kris is the first man I dated that I've let lead more, and I don't feel like I had to make so many decisions and things like our trip to Costa Rica. I let Kris handle everything.
Alexis never.
And I always, when we go on
ever
trips, I handle all of
She
I
handles
handle all the
everything.
flights. I make sure we have everything in order. It's not that I wasn't doing that when we were together. It's not like I wasn't keeping track of
I
stuff.
just followed.
And she follows, so I'm always focused and in control, and we got to rent our car, we have to go here, and for once, while I was assisting him and helping him, I let Kris lead and take control over everything. If we were talking to people, or we were buying something, the hotel, everything like that, well, rather our house that we stayed in, I let Kris handle all of that. And I was comfortable letting him do that. I didn't feel the need to.
And and it was amazing, by the way. But to chime in there, what I did throughout that was made sure she's involved by saying, "What do you think
Yeah.
of this place? Do you like this place?"
Everything that
She's like, "What's
we
good?"
did, yeah.
He showed you everything, introduced you to everything.
Just even when we were out there, our day to day, do you want to go do this? It's not like he was just, this is what we're doing for the day. You're gonna follow. It wasn't like that at all. He would present something to me, and I would say yay or nay, if that's what I wanted to do. But
See, all of that matters. You guys, like I said, have such a balance that it just is amazing. Like he was saying, and I'm glad he said that. I wouldn't have wanted it to come off as if he's a dictator. Just pretty much, this is what we're going to do, this and that and the other. And that's a really valid thing. You're a strong-willed person as well. And Kris, like I said, Kris opened up the book to, hey, Lexi, what do you like, this and that and the other.
He was at it in general, just a day to day of, do you want to go do this? Even if he's running errands for work or something, do you want to come with me, or do you want to stay at the house? What do you want to do? And I have the option of, I'll just stay here. You can go do that. You can come pick me up later, whatever.
And I was even included Elizabeth. It was really nice. You guys were talking to me about a little bit of the trip and things like that, and Kris talked to me about some things. That was really nice. So there again, we talk about bringing people into people you love and care about. Making it just matters. It makes life so much easier.
Exactly.
It truly does. It just makes life easier. You're an adult. I don't tell you what to do and things like that, but I appreciated the fact that you guys cared enough to say, hey, we're thinking about doing this. This is where we probably saying, what do you think about this place and this and that. That was really, really considerate.
I talked to you while we were out there, and you saw the house and just little things while we were out there. There's a lot of footage and whatnot, but in general,
beautiful place.
Where we were,
my gosh.
Yeah, it was such an incredible trip.
Yeah.
That was nice.
And people out there was funny. You blended.
So for those of you who are interested in Costa Rica, we're in a city called Quepos and a place called Manuel Antonio, and there's a national park there. It's considered one of the most beautiful parts of the whole
We went
island.
to the park, we went to the beach.
It's amazing. So
So beautiful.
definitely check that out if you're interested in that vacation. But,
That was nice. That was a very fun trip.
Well, I'm glad you guys did that and everything. Wish I could have been there, but it's okay.
That was my first vacation.
No, I'm joking. It was so beautiful.
I don't vacation at all. Outside the family, that was my first time going on vacation with anyone. And
Yeah, it was such a beautiful
the
place.
trip went really smooth. So that was a difference for our relationship. We had never spent that much time
And then to
together,
travel the
just
distance to
We
get
traveled.
there.
Exactly, we had to travel, we had to fly, he drove everywhere, we had to drive to our house, and we spent the whole time, the whole trip we were together.
Don't people say something about traveling together to see whether or not you guys get along?
I told one of my friends, and she's like, "Well, good luck with that. Like, you know, you guys are gonna be fighting."
Yeah, that's funny how many people
And
said
she
that.
said she fought with her fiance,
Honestly, I heard that
and
quite
she's
a
like, "You know,
bit.
you guys are gonna be fighting first day." And I didn't think that we were, but that's what I heard from other people that going on a trip
That they
together,
fought
we were going
the
to
first.
be, you know, at each
I
other,
don't
or because we're tired or we're hungry or we're in a
I
different
didn't think it would
place.
be. I don't think it's
I
your
didn't
two
think
personality.
that at
It's
all.
just
The
not.
trip was so nice. It was so laid back, and we didn't have any problems at all.
I think that comes down to what we were talking about earlier with certain personalities, and how like there is somebody that's going to mesh well with your personality.
Absolutely.
There is, and you have to be willing to do the diligence to find them and have the patience to allow that to happen. And like I said before about the whole attraction thing, I believe in this law of attraction to an extent. There's a lot of variables in that depending on how you define that. But I mean, you know, you have to believe in yourself and in your goal. Otherwise, why should you expect it to happen?
Yes.
You know, faith is huge, and
Absolutely.
it starts with your thoughts. I can give an example that's maybe a little revealing, but that's how I am. So,
Do you?
the lowest point in my whole life, okay, probably the lowest point in my whole life, I was 15 years old, maybe even 14, and I was in juvie, and I had been arrested for possession of a stolen moped. Okay.
Oh
my thug life days.
That's a thug. That's
Total
hardcore.
thug. And so one of my friend's neighbors had left the moped there, and they were gone for the summer, and he's like, "Let's take it." And so we're driving this moped around, and then I was in possession of it when we got busted with it. It's pretty bad. It's not that funny, but anyway. So I found myself in juvie for a couple days, and it wasn't like long or anything, but so I'm there, and I remember this guy who was like one of the prison guards or whatnot, you know, and he's like, hey man, what's your name? And I told him my name, and he's like, that's a good name, man, that's a good name, you're gonna be president one day, man. And, you know, he just wanted to pump me up and encourage me. And then he walked off. I never saw him or spoke to him again, but I never forget he said that. I never forgot he said that. And those words have power if you allow them to. The same is true as the opposite. If you allow people's negative speech and ideas to impact your life and plant seeds, you're going to reap the rotten fruit from those.
Yes.
But if you believe in that stuff, look, I'm not president of the United States, okay? But I'm president of my own company, 2 companies. So I'm now
President.
Like, hey,
President.
the guy was right. You know?
President, absolutely.
You know, like that.
There's
There is power in our words if we
Absolutely.
allow them to have that power.
It's a good thing you listened. You
Yeah.
took that in, you embraced what he said. That's what we're talking
I
about, that
still forgot
confidence.
it.
That's amazing.
And it took me a while, you know, before I stopped being a knucklehead. But
But still,
I never forgot he said that. And I was like, wow, this guy doesn't even know me. And he went out of his way to really say the most encouraging thing he could possibly say, and it came at him like that. Because that's the kind of person he was.
Yeah.
Speaking life into people who need it. And that's really what we need, you know. We need to
That's
be willing
right.
to do that with each other, especially in our relationships,
Yes.
especially with dating, especially if we're considering marriage. We have to be able to put that positive energy out and allow it to come back to us.
and allow people in your relationship to define themselves as someone that could lead you into something better. Be
Yes.
okay with that, especially a lot of us ladies, really strong-willed ladies. It's okay to step back just enough to let a man be thoroughly whom he is.
Yeah.
Whoever the male is in whichever relationships you have, the male person, let a male be the male in your relationship. In my opinion, it makes life so much easier to
Yes.
stay in our lane.
It's absolutely does.
Stay in our
Stay
lanes.
Yeah.
When you don't know, when you're crossing over each other's lane, it doesn't have to do anything with the differences in the culture, whatever. That's one thing with the differences too, just thinking about it for a second. I butt heads with some of the people I've dated with in the past because neither one of us knew how to step back a little bit. Both of us were basically taught to be strong, to be this and that and other, and you have to start finding out what do those words really mean. What is the strength that they're instilling in me? And I'm sure your parents don't want the lady to grow up to take on the full guy's role,
Yeah,
so
and I never feel like I have to because I feel like
there's
a
no
woman,
competition,
There's no competition.
you don't
And it's not that he
compete.
treats me like I'm timid or I'm weak or he has to do this because I'm
Oh.
incapable of doing it. It's not anything like that. But I like that he, in certain things, he
Lets
just
you
takes
be
the
you.
initiative to do it. He just lets me be me, exactly.
In your strength, he lets you be strong
Exactly,
and
but
sit
he
back
still,
and allow
but he
that.
pushes me and motivates me the same way that he'll take on a load or a burden or something. If I'm upset about something, I can go to him and I can confide in him about it, and he listens and he provides feedback for it and things like that. It makes me feel better, even if there's no real solution. He's at least listening and taking it in. So
That's huge.
yeah, exactly.
That is really huge.
Mhm.
That truly is.
Yeah, it is. Being available. You said that last week,
Yes.
right? Just the art of being available is enormous. And then being willing to just quiet your mind and listen to somebody is huge. And you don't have to have the answers.
Yes,
Like you
True.
don't. It's just,
Sometimes the listening
Well,
is huge.
I've heard
Exactly.
that from women before. They just want someone who is capable of just listening to them
Mhm.
through their stuff. And vice versa. It goes both ways.
Yeah.
Yes.
But definitely women tend to be more of the communicators than guys in general, right? We
Absolutely.
agree with that.
Exactly.
And so guys, you don't need to feel like so burdened that you have to be able to hang on that level because her vocabulary is better than yours and she's saying a lot more words than you are. But if you're available to listen, then you're
But to
winning.
be available to
Yeah.
listen,
Yeah.
whether you're her friend,
Yeah.
your brother, whatever you are to her, we want a male's perspective. Sometimes we want that shoulder from
Exactly.
the male version, correct? It's nothing better than that,
Exactly.
to have that shoulder. So, yeah, be willing to listen.
Exactly. It's nice. I absolutely feel like I can lean on Kris. I hope he feels the same about me. I mean, I if he has a problem or something like that, I'm definitely there to listen to whatever it is, whether I can fix it or not. And I think that we have a good balance with that.
I think you too.
Yeah, she's
too.
very
I
good.
watch you guys with helping each other through stuff, through things, it's amazing. Like I said, but you allowed yourselves to, like I said,
You have to
not
allow
listen,
yourself to get to that
to
point.
trust, to
you
be
know?
willing to open your heart to someone, to be willing to, like Kris said, be vulnerable, be willing to be that. That's the only way you're going to get all of this that you guys are getting on your way to getting even more.
Exactly. Because
You
I have
have to.
confided in people in the past. And
You
that's
can
my
tell when
choice.
someone has a wall up, correct?
Yes.
It's
And
an
I'm
obvious.
sure the people I've dated in the past, I'm sure they felt it. Somebody even said it, like
Yes.
you're so closed off. And I understood it, but I did not feel the need to be open either.
Exactly.
And I did not change it. So that's on me, but I didn't feel the need to change it.
Exactly.
And communicating is how you get beyond those walls where they will come down, or you get
Absolutely.
beyond them because you move on.
Exactly.
You have to be willing to put your cards out and say, this is where the line is. And if we've been together for a year and this wall's still up and you're not letting me in, then you've got to be willing to accept the reality that that relationship may not be where you need to be.
Exactly.
And you need to move on because that person's not available.
And I'm talking about
That's
that.
true.
We've
That's
talked
true.
about that.
Being-
Yeah, I've been in that spot before. And I mean, on both sides. I've been wounded from an ex. I've been in a relationship for years and then gone back into the dating scene just like a wounded dog, like, oh, I don't want to do this, you know? I don't want to be alone, but I hate dating. And
Isn't it work?
Yeah,
It
I don't
work.
like dating either.
And it's a different type of a work. It's not working into like your marriage and things like that. It's that type of work that you just, you know you need to do it,
It's
but
tiring to have
you
to
have to
keep
be willing.
to getting to know someone.
You have to be
and
willing to
is
say,
it gonna work, or are we gonna mesh, or
and you
gosh,
have to be
it's
willing
like,
to pick
you know,
yourself
yeah,
up to say
exactly,
this guy,
this
this
didn't work
person,
out,
is
and you have to do it
Yeah.
all over again.
all over again.
it's hard. It can be hard to not allow yourself to be jaded after so many
Yeah,
failed
I
relationships.
agree.
And you become wise in certain ways because you start to recognize kind of like warning labels, you know, like things that pop up and like, oh,
Yeah,
they just said that. They're really, oh man, I
That's
don't know about
definitely
this.
happened.
This is probably going to be a bad thing. And some of that can be intuition and wisdom and discernment, and some of it can be just jaded.
Yeah.
You know, and you
Yeah.
need to like soften your heart up.
I was gonna say you can't be paranoid because it's not
Yes.
fair. I've told people, and it's like when I've started over a million times. I swear, I've lost count, but I still go in with an open mind. I don't treat this person like that or
I
expect to be treated.
Absolutely do.
Even me rearing my kids, I treat you as individuals because that's how I want to be treated. I don't want to be compared to my sibling, a past person or any. I don't want to. Good or bad.
And as individuals, you've never used the same tactics or whatever.
And that's for
parenting
good,
on
bad,
us.
or
Yeah.
indifference. I just want to be who I am and treat a person as an individual. I have never compared a person in a direct way. There have been times when I've said, I would say to a person, don't, like, if I don't want to go left, don't try to send me left, because that didn't work before. That's not my interest. That's not what I like. That's going to upset me, whatever. And they continue to do it. I may say, you know what, that didn't work before. It's not going to work this time.
Exactly.
So that could be in the comparisons, but something that's minor. But overall, I see people as the new person that I'm dealing with at that moment.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
What
And
did you have to do?
back to the same concept of attraction, if we are going into those relationships options, those dating options, with this calloused heart and this baggage of a wound, and we're projecting that onto them, we're not even ready to get to know them.
Absolutely.
Or just
You're not.
accept what they're bringing to the table. Because we're just going through the motions of going, it's probably just another freaking internet person, and this is going to be a disaster.
And that means
whatever.
unavailable.
Yeah.
Exactly.
If
And
your
so you're
mind
just
is not
wasting
in it, you're not available.
Yeah.
Just wasting your time
You're not
and money.
You're not ready.
Yeah.
That's true. That's
why I talk about growth and bettering yourself, and that's downtime, whatever you want to call it, when you're not in a relationship. That's the time for you to be your best you. That's the time for you to focus on you, grow and focus on doing something good for someone else, but growth. I talk about that a lot in one of my other videos, growth. It's important. You're constantly working yourself to a place to be the best you can be, to be in that best relationship that's waiting for you. Because it definitely does exist. We weren't created for just out of boredom. We have a purpose here.
Yeah, I agree. I think I said it in the last video, but I think Kris came into my life at a really good time.
A really good time.
Yeah.
That's another good point too, to bring up the timing factor, which we don't really have control over.
Yes.
And timing is a lot. It's
Timing
huge.
is everything. Yeah.
That's when I talk about no necessarily wrong person, or
Yes,
or-
so you said it's
it's
always
timing.
Mr. or
Yeah.
Mrs. Wrong. Sometimes it's just
it's just timing. It's not the season for long term with everyone.
Had I met Kris last year, it would have been, the relationship totally would have been different. And it's just
And just
where
think
I
he was
was.
and just think he was in a different
Exactly.
place. And correct. When we're not we're not in enough of a space of growth for that person, we're not going to do well in that time frame.
Exactly.
It's not about them being good or bad, or you being good or bad. It's just both of you got some more growing to do, or one of you do. Yeah, so.
Absolutely. Yeah, I remember early on too, when her and I were dating, it was just going super smooth right away. Like everything was like, wow, everything, all the boxes were being checked, you know. And several dates in, I'm like thinking, wow, this is actually really going somewhere. And then there was a part of me that was still holding on to a little bit of a wound from my past.
I was so scared.
Yeah, I was probably a little scared. Like I'd come out, I still had a little bit of some internal work I needed to do on myself before I could take the next step there. And we talked about that, and thankfully Lexi was patient with me, and I was a communicator instead of just hanging on to my past scars and then going back into this serial dating, or I was never a serial dater, but you know what I mean, going back into
that,
the cyclical pattern of
going back on the path of where you something similar to what you've been through.
Never letting the wall down. And every relationship, you're going to come to a point where that wall has to come all the way down.
And you got to go through it.
Yes.
You have to allow yourself to hurt. You got to allow yourself, whatever that means. If that means crying over here by yourself, whatever it means, getting into meditation, prayer, whatever it means for you, all of those emotions are for a reason.
Exactly.
They're for a reason to make you a better something else.
It did take us a little bit of time, but Kris was upfront about what he was feeling at that
That's
time. So it's not like
huge.
I didn't know, I don't know what's going on with him, what he's thinking. He said how he was feeling, what he's thinking, and everything like that. So it's not like I didn't know. So that did help the situation and did make it easier, so I could understand where he was coming from.
That's huge, and that really is. That's the thing. I can't commend you enough for even saying that to her. Most
It's just
males
nice not to wonder
will
and
not
to get, and no matter
own
how
that.
I took it or how I responded, it was nice to know versus
Most
just wonder.
men, I think a lot of the males out there would not necessarily admit to that. I'm not putting any of them down because I know there are some amazing guys out there. I'm just saying a lot of guys are put in that category of being so strong or being our shoulder. They feel like maybe she's going to feel like I'm too weak, or maybe she's going to feel like I'm too broken, or maybe, and it's pressure on them.
Yes, ma'am.
And I understand that. I'm not saying they're not capable. I'm just saying sometimes they probably feel like, oh my gosh, it's going to break me down. She's not going to see me for the man that I am.
Right.
But that makes us see you more. That's highlights you even more.
Did you feel any type of pressure or anything to tell me that how you were feeling, or?
I didn't feel like my masculinity was challenged by telling you that. It didn't. I feel very secure in that.
Yeah.
I think a lot of that comes from
Being confident
just
in yourself.
being
Also
confident in
just-
myself.
yeah.
What I don't just who I am. I don't look at when I look at myself in the mirror. I don't look at myself like a victim or like I am like less than. You know,
Yeah, and I don't think
it's
that
not
you do.
arrogant.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not trying to be
No,
arrogant.
I don't think you're.
No, that's
So-
good for
I think you're
people
very
need to be okay
comfortable.
with that.
I
Like
think
he
you're very
said,
comfortable
Exactly.
in who you are.
Yeah, and that is a strength.
Absolutely.
Like we said, to be vulnerable like that is a huge strength.
it is.
And if a woman doesn't recognize that as a strength, then she's not looking for a man. She's looking for a boy.
Yeah.
She's looking for somebody who hasn't achieved that level of manhood yet, where they're willing to be emotionally
She's not ready for
intimate.
that leader,
Yeah.
that man, that,
Yeah, so with Lexi, it was really a matter of me humbling myself, explaining what's going on, and also offering an apology at the same time, saying like, look, I'm sorry that this is, this is something that we even have to like discuss, and this is what's going on, but here are my intentions with you, and here's what I would prefer, and
Yeah.
like I'm 100% on board and ready. Let's do this. It was more like that kind of a thing.
And that is how he was.
That's
how I got
nice.
my nickname Panda during that time.
Oh, that's where Panda
That was where
came.
Panda came because
That's
of
where
how
Panda
I
came from.
responded.
Can we put the link? Can you like
I
forward the
should-
link? In
I
We're
there?
gonna have to
I
show you
should-
guys what this
I'm gonna
panda
find it,
is.
if I
Kris,
can insert it or something.
Let's talk about something Lexi did when she had
Because he said
she had a minor
he-
breakdown, and it was
His caption
panda-ish.
was very funny.
I had
And
one
What
driving.
he said was like, this is what I just said, and this was your reaction. And the video said when I'm slightly inconvenienced and the panda sliding down the snow is just.
Oh
it was
my
just
God.
funny, so that's how I got my nickname.
That's another thing.
Insert
I'm
the
gonna have
video.
to. I'm gonna have to. So we can.
That is, and so he calls her Panda. He had me started to
She
call
got
me
me a
Panda.
panda purse. So, but I will say how comfortable Kris is in himself. That is another part of the attraction. Of course, I didn't know that at first, but then meeting him and spending time with him, I like how comfortable.
And
he
that
is
says
with
a lot
himself.
because me watching you go through dating, Alexis was always this person that would just be done. I mean, it's over, it's a wrap, shuts down by pretty much when someone does whatever you find it to be too much.
Repeat it myself when
I've not repeated dating ever
when
in my
I've
life.
been done.
either.
I've been. It
Me
is, which is it's not always a good thing, of course, because I stopped communicating altogether. I don't want to hear what you have to say anymore. With whatever line that you cross that I'm not comfortable with, and I've blocked people. I don't want to talk to you
And I have a
anymore.
reputation of being more harsh.
And the
like,
funny thing is,
with the
people
family,
think she's
whatever.
very harsh. She's actually really
I
forgiving.
forgive
I'm the one who has a hard time
over
forgiving
and
people.
over
And I will
and
admit
over.
to it. I will, well, rather sometimes I'll forgive someone, but I'm not going to talk to you anymore. You're not going to be in my life. I'm not going to mention
Well,
you anymore.
Totally.
So-
Well, with my forgiving, I have to be clear this way too. Don't think that I'm one of those people you could, go out there and do something crazy and think I'm going to
There are
just be
always limitations.
right. I'm just
you know.
saying. My thing is, I forgive some of the tiny little dumb things that people do because I do them as well. But I tell you this: forgiveness for me means don't repeat that.
Mhm.
Because I tell you one time, okay, I will forgive it. We can move on from it, but you continue to do it. That's a habit.
Exactly.
And I'm not going to spend my time forgiving habits.
Exactly.
I'm not. Especially when they hurt me.
Mhm.
And that's not okay.
Exactly.
So my thing is, I remember everything. I'm telling you, I have a vivid memory when it comes to things, the way people have interacted with me and things I've watched. So yeah, I may be forgiving, but
And
don't
with
think
me
you can do it
and-
again.
And Kris, it's not like he did or said anything that was like, I can't forgive that. It just,
Absolutely.
he didn't. It's just at that point in time, I just was like, whatever. It's like I'm over it type of feeling.
But I've seen you walk away from different
And-
things, but it's because of that person and there something
Exactly,
else.
and
Yeah.
so in that aspect, I think it was just because I'm like, I've been through this before. I don't want to keep going through this cycle, is what I thought in my head. But we did end up talking. We kept talking, and he did give me a really sincere, genuine apology that I had not received before from people that have hurt me in the past. I can recall
Thank
a
you.
time
I'm with
where
you.
someone it's not that no one has ever said sorry to me for hurting me. They have, but it wasn't genuine. It was just like, I want you to be quiet. I'm tired of talking about this, so I'm going to say sorry. Or I've gotten I wouldn't have done that if you hadn't done this. And that's not an apology.
And I've gotten the ones where a person was saying the sorry is so non-genuine that I had to be mean and say, no, you're not sorry in that perspective, but you are a sorry
You
person.
are sorry.
You
person.
are sorry.
And I've told someone that before.
So you need to not say, and it's being mean, but when you come to me like that, it is the way I've reacted before. I'm like, no, you are sorry, so now give me an apology.
Mm-hmm.
So, but my thing is, and I shouldn't have to push an apology out of you. Don't
And
think
I didn't feel like I needed to pull an apology or convince Chris that you hurt me and I want an apology. I didn't have to do that at all. He just offered it to me. Whether I accepted it or not, he put it out there. And that made a huge difference.
And that's what that forgiving does. When I say I
Mhm.
forgive a lot of things, that's when I think I've had the interactions with people where they feel like they can just keep doing something. And my thing is, no, you're not. I'm not going to tolerate it.
Yeah,
But once I'm done, I'm done.
exactly.
Because I've given you an opportunity to better
Yeah,
something.
he just immediately, he didn't question why did that bother you. He didn't say anything, he just said, I'm sorry.
That's
for
because that was genuine.
Exactly.
That's
And then after that, it was like our relationship hit like a 10th level from where it was before.
Wow.
Yeah,
Where it would
I
have been.
agree.
Yeah, it was amazing. It's because we demolished the wall.
Mhm.
It's not even like it
It was
went down.
something
The
that
wall
needed
got
to happen.
exploded.
Yeah.
that's
I agree.
Yeah,
It was
that's
a
huge.
complete difference
It's
from then on.
crazy.
Mhm.
and the crazy thing, it's kind of scary actually to think about. Had I not had that thought process and that humility to go ahead and communicate that to
You
you,
would have missed.
we probably wouldn't be sitting here right now.
Yeah, I
And
agree.
honestly, I feel like Lexi's the love of my life, and I would have missed out on her. So it's like,
Oh,
it's
I
like,
feel the same.
so yeah. So
that's
guys,
so
and that's crazy because
Yeah.
you think about like these circumstances and these walls and these issues that we have from past that come up, and they can really affect and rob you from something that could
Yeah.
be great. So I
I
just
agree.
encourage everybody to do some serious soul searching with what relationships you're in and considering and stuff, and really ask yourself if showing humility to this person wouldn't dramatically change it and maybe skyrocket it into like something that's
Absolutely.
supernatural.
It's a matter of both people having a safe place to fall.
Yes.
You're going to have obstacles in your life, and both people need to be safe with one another to go through their
Exactly.
down
And
cycles.
with Chris, I feel like, because like I said, I think I said in the last video, Chris has seen me he's seen me upset, he's seen me where I'm just really sad, whatever, even if he wasn't there in person, I've been able to call him crying or however I'm feeling in that moment. So I've been
Just
able
being
to
a woman. Sometimes
yes,
just being a
exactly.
woman, I'm telling
I've
you,
just been able to just express myself however I'm expressing myself in that moment, and he takes it. However I push it out, he doesn't judge me for it or say, well, you're being so emotional, you need to get it together, or whatever the case may be. He just listens in that moment. He responds however I'm responding in that moment, and he goes from there.
That's
And that makes
amazing.
a difference.
That's
I haven't
huge.
done that in the past either, at all, ever. If I've been upset, I just have to talk to people, which is not the best thing because people don't know why I'm upset. But I just won't answer my phone. Period.
Why is that funny?
It's so
Why is she laughing?
funny. She makes me laugh.
There's people concerned about her, and she's like, I just won't answer the phone. That's some messed
Lexi
up.
is so funny. And I would say to Lexi, please. So she said, no. She's like, no. I'm like, Lexi, please just tell the person. She's like, no. See, and that may sound like I'm being more helpful, but I just like to kind of get it out there. I'm like, I'm going to tell you about yourself.
However you're feeling, if you're upset, say you're upset. If
I
you're
say
feeling
it.
happy, say
I
you're
say it.
happy. She just says it, and I have not been like, I feel like that with Chris. I've not been like that in the past. One way or another, whether I'm really happy with someone or I'm really upset with someone, they did know one way or another. and that's just.
But you know, some of the people weren't in
But I
a
didn't
tour
really
enough
feel-
place. They would have
But I
just.
didn't feel the same back from them either.
They weren't. It
so-
wasn't genuine.
Mhm.
You didn't feel. Exactly. I mentioned having a safe place to fall.
Mhm.
When you're going through something, you need to feel safe who
Mhm.
you're with
Exactly.
to break down
And I
those
didn't
walls.
feel like that.
I don't think.
So
yeah.
it was hard to, hear your Lexi, you're being really closed off. I'm like, well, you're not exactly open either. So that's very difficult for me to feel like I need to put everything out on the table, and I feel like whether you are or not, I don't feel like you are. I don't feel like you're putting anything on the table for the most part. So you can't expect it from me.
Yeah.
That's true. Absolutely. Like I said, there have been times when I would agree, thinking back with
Mhm.
some of the personalities you've connected with, to well, not connected with, that you did not connect
Yeah.
with. And that's okay, because it made you
Yes,
see
exactly.
Chris for what he
Mhm.
is. Because and it's a huge
And I think
difference.
if I hadn't gone
And these
through
weren't
that,
people that were, I would say, are nice people.
Yeah, I don't think they're bad.
I think some of them were
people.
nice
we
people.
just did not mesh well for at least
But
a
they
long-term
weren't relationship.
Mhm.
They weren't healthy
They weren't
enough
a long-term
to.
relationship for me.
They weren't.
And some people I know that they're in relationships now, and they've been with that person for a long period of time, and it's worked
And it
for
works
them.
well.
Exactly, but it didn't work for us.
Seasons. I'm talking about it
Yeah.
wasn't your season for them.
And I've been in relationships where time goes by, like lots of time, 2.5 years. I was in a 4-year relationship, long-term relationships. And time does not necessarily equate to emotional intimacy,
Yeah.
which is the goal.
I agree.
Yes.
And it doesn't necessarily, it's not always measured by that.
Absolutely.
It generally lends toward that because you feel more comfortable with someone the more time you
You
spend.
think
But
it
it's
would.
not something
It
that's
doesn't.
Yeah.
that always matches up like that. And for the time that Lexi and I have spent together, I feel way more comfortable with her and confident in our relationship than I did with the longest of my long-term relationships.
That's amazing. And I've gone through the same thing. I've gone through years, but not getting really closer.
Mhm.
And I'm not judging the person or myself. It was just not for that.
Exactly.
It wasn't my long-term soulmate. It was a connection for another reason, for other reasons, which
I agree.
I have no regrets in my life. I really don't. I just know their experiences. They hurt, or they sometimes they knock you off your feet a little bit. But I had to go through it.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's one of those things. Sometimes you have to look back at yourself too. When you spend a lot of energy and time with a person or whatever, somewhere early on, you sort of know something. They talk about the red flags. You sort of know this may not be forever, or you sort of maybe thoughts about, should I stay here? Should I
Yeah.
stay in this?
Yeah.
And then you talk yourself into the reasons. Then you calculate the years. Oh, well, we got this many years
Yeah.
together, and you want to convince yourself that's going to be the forever person because you got these years together. No.
Yeah.
Not so,
Exactly.
and it's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
I don't want people to feel
Yes,
bad about
exactly.
themselves or someone else. You got to be willing to forgive yourself as well as the other person. It's not a bad thing. It's just a matter of, to me, that you have to realize I spent this many years here, but I spent this many years doing this, that, and the other. Whatever that may be. That may have been raising kids. That may have been whatever. Could have been a billion things. But be appreciative of the time you spent and what you accomplished in that time. And if you did not accomplish things you wanted to, now you recognize what that looked like.
Exactly. I agree. Unlike both of you, I haven't had a long-term relationship. My longest, I think, was a year, and that was it. But in general, with other relationships that I had, there were times early on where I'm like, I'm feeling doubtful, or this is a red flag, or I don't think this is going to work out, but I stayed longer than necessary. And then the relationship just kind of fizzled out, or did not end well.
But don't you believe in those things like, I believe in there are no real accidents in
Yeah,
life. I think everything happens for a
I met
reason.
those people for a reason.
And you were in that spot for a reason. Like times when I,
Exactly.
for instance, didn't go somewhere, and my God, I heard about a situation happened
Yes,
there, and I didn't
exactly.
show up.
Yeah.
So I think while you were engaged in that, whatever you were in, you weren't in something else.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That
And that's exactly
could have been
why
whatever.
I feel good or bad.
Could have been worse. Could have been
But I
whatever.
feel like those relationships and that
You're
timing
right.
and everything like that, where I'm at now, it put me in a place where I could even meet Chris. Because otherwise, I would have stayed in that relationship where I would have gone and done something different. I never would have met him. Period. So I think everything adds up.
This, we're talking on and on and on. I don't know how long we've been talking, but I figured we could just go part twos. Do a part two to what we're talking about.
Yeah, probably.
We may have hit a part two. You want to see how far we go? Because we can pick back up. I just
Use
thought,
the restroom.
yeah. I figured we could just, so we can have another.
Yeah, we're
time.
at an hour and 3 minutes.
Good. So we can split it in half
Yeah.
and we can have 2 videos.
So yeah, Gary, we'll wrap it up.
Yeah.
It's just funny.
You still have it on?
Yes, I saw it on.
So you're going to cut through this part,
Okay.
you want to cut it off and add this.
I'll end up with, adding this or something.
My, makeup so I need
No, I can
brush.
put this on the camera. It looks good.
So I need my brush, please. It goes in my coffee's drink down. I just figured if we talk.
it got stuck on my
I figured
finger.
since we're talking, we could just go on and just split it into part
Yeah.
1 and part 2.
Hayden, what are you doing?
Stop. Chris is in the
Okay.
restroom. Oh.
He's going in my room.
I figured that would just be. Then we don't have to force ourselves to worry about next week.
Yeah. Oh, we still never talked about our age difference.
You can add that in because you can know. Okay, what time frame? What are you going to? How do you want to do the first part? Because I can find a way to.
We can just go ahead and put it in at the end because the videos I can do.
And how much time is it?
It's an hour, so that's 2 half hours. I can always do a half hour and a 45-minute or a 45-minute and an hour. I mean, 45-minute and 30 minutes. I'll split this. I know how to split
Or
it
you
up.
can do, since we're talking about interracial and everything else, we can do that for the next video.
Mhm.
That one, age and something else.
Yeah, we can do that. I know how to split it.
Because age can take you a minute too. But now we got 2 videos.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't stop you guys. I started to cut it off. I'm like, no, let it flow. Do I need more lipstick or anything?
No.
I don't want.
Cold.
You're cold.
Freezing.
You can close the window right there for you, but you know me. You
We
got
can go
hot.
ahead and wrap this up.
Yep, we can get. So you want to say finishing anything before we? Because we got 2 now. So how do you want me to end the first part? When we do both end, put an
We
ending
can
on
end it the
both.
same way. You can just say that we're going to go ahead and end it now.
Okay.
We
So
don't have to have any particular ending.
okay. So you well okay. So I don't know what we're talking about. Oh, the interracial.
Well, just now, I forgot what we were talking about just now.
The interracial thing. We were just a second ago. We were talking about. I know we talked about forgiveness. We talked about. I don't know. What doesn't matter.
We just
Figure
say,
it out.
alright, you guys, we're going to just end it here.
You guys hear that? Okay. Well, okay, you guys, we're going to wrap this up, and I've enjoyed sitting here with Kris and Alexis again. I would invite them to keep coming back as much as possible. There's a lot more to share. But for today, I enjoyed them being here, giving some insights on their relationship for people that think about the interracial dating and the things that attract them to one another. So just for the record, that this is our opinion of how we feel about one another, how they felt about each other. So no one take offense to anything. If they felt like it may have been, that's not our intent. It's our preferences, and you guys should do the same. Go for your preference.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about.
And I'd like to say, yeah, and the cool thing about this discussion is like we're discussing relationships and how there's so much variety out there and how we can.
Yes.
Everything doesn't have to be exactly how you think it's supposed to be or how society
science.
tells
That's
you
right.
it should be and stuff. And a classic example of that is what I mentioned earlier before we took a little bathroom break, is how Lexi and I have been monogamous for just several months. It hasn't been a terribly long amount of time, but in all my years, I've never felt as close to her as I have with. I've never felt as close to anybody as I do with her, and it just tells you like that dynamic is there.
Yeah.
And
Look at
that's
that. Look at that.
and that's why
That's so sweet.
I'm not. This may or break this video, but I feel 100% confident in this, and that's why I'm gonna ask her to marry me right now.
Chris, you are, I swear to God.
This is
No, I'm not,
this
no.
is coming.
Chris, you are freaking playing. Oh my
I gotta
gosh,
get
my eyes are tearing up.
I gotta do the gentleman thing.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I thought he was joking. Oh my gosh. I know they're like, please stop saying oh my gosh. I don't know what else to say. Oh my gosh, Chris, you didn't, I just talked about they communicate everything with me. You didn't tell me. Oh my goodness, that's so sweet.
We had a talk, but I didn't plan.
I know, I didn't know when.
I wanted to be surprised for you so we can get the reaction.
I gotta scratch my head. Oh my goodness. Oh, that is so. And look at that. Wait, you guys, I swear to guys, let me turn off this ring light because the diamonds are real. Oh my. Lexi! You're officially engaged. Oh my gosh. Congratulations, Lex. Oh. I can't turn the camera off. I don't know what to do. Oh, my eyes are tearing up. I'm so happy.
That couldn't be.
Oh my gosh, I'm so happy. That is the sweetest thing. I'm so happy. I'm sorry, you guys. You guys know I'm supposed to be broken down. Oh, that is so sweet. My Lexi Poe. Now we gotta add up the way I look. Oh my gosh, give me some makeup. Oh my gosh. I am so happy for you, Lex. Oh, give me hugs, my baby Lexi. Oh my goodness. I can't believe I have never been in the presence of someone doing that in my life. Oh my gosh. And oh Lord, you guys. We don't know what to do. I'm stuck. I can't move.
So I figured that this would be a great environment for it because we're on the topic and now we can always look back on this footage and share it with people because I really want that to be an example. We can fast forward, you guys will see Lexi and I have a forever healthy relationship, I guarantee it. But this is an example of just love, you know? You can't put a box around it. You can't put a race to it. You can't put a timeline to it. It's just when it's right, and you know it.
Jesus.
And I'm
done.
so honored.
I know he told me he wanted to do this. He asked me for my blessing. I promise you, I was never, and I was listening to Kris. You know, I have a habit of like those people in church, you guys. I'm from that old school church. People are like, and they're like, yeah, and I was like, then I'm like, wait, what? I knew it was in the back of my mind, but I forgot about it. I was thinking maybe weeks or months or something down the line. I totally forgot about it. I'm stuck. Whew, you guys saw him here today. First time for me ever been in the presence of that. Oh my, Kris, I am done.
Like I said, in all
That's the
my
sweetest
years of relationships and dating, I've never been married. I've never felt as confident about this question.
Oh, your little fingers! Look, you got look at the rocks. Oh my gosh, it's so beautiful, Lex. I'm done. I can retire. Look, you guys, maybe my last video, maybe in the floor. I am so happy. I just can't. I am so happy for you guys. I'm
really happy.
So.
I don't know what to say.
You guys are like,
I want
yo.
to hear.
You guys, I swear to God, oh my gosh, made my makeup mess up. You guys, oh my gosh.
Thank you.
Chris, I'm done. I gotta get ready to plan a wedding. I got things to do. You guys, I gotta have to break camp. I got some things to do. So good seeing you guys. You want to say some more? And nothing, don't say anymore because I'm done. It's nothing more to say. Plan my funeral right after. Because I'm just in shock.
I'm so surprised.
I just wasn't, I don't know, I was just thinking months. Or, oh my God. Wait, who's going to be bringing me coffee in the morning? Lex is there. Lex always bring me coffee. I am so in shock.
I don't know what you guys talked about.
He told me, but you know how I heard it and I took it in. I'm like, okay.
You're supposed to warn me about stuff.
You need to warn me, Kris. Don't warn me. No, that was amazing. I can't stop. I can't stop.
Plus, we're always gonna have this footage too. that's why it's an amazing opportunity, and it's perfect, you know, discussion.
I'm done.
Segue. I figured, you know.
That's the sweetest thing, and it just wasn't expected here with this. I was so done. Oh my gosh. Little Lexi. She's gonna make me cry. You guys, I swear to God, before I start really looking broken down, I'm gonna have to go because I did that real cry. That real cry. And we don't want that. So you have to edit and cut it. YouTube be like, not today. They cut me out. Oh my gosh, my nerves are getting too bad. Look at my hand shaking like it's me. I'm so happy. I got things to do. Thank you guys. I got ready to get out here. You guys want to say anything else? I can't speak anymore before I forget my name and everything. Anything more, Kris? Or don't? You guys, Kris did it. Kris hooked it up. This is the one. Kris hooked it up. Oh my gosh. Our title of the video may change. I'm just saying, stay in for the surprise. I want that included. I just want people to see this moment. This was brilliant. Oh my God. I knew, but I didn't know. Anyway, thank you guys so much. I got things on my mind. I have to go plan some things. I lost track of what I'm talking about. I'm Gwendolyn, I think I still am. Thank you, Kris, for everything. Thank you for loving my daughter. I'm gonna start crying.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, you guys, I gotta get ready to go.
Right, you gotta stop talking.
I know I'm trying to talk to keep from crying. Monica, mommy look like this. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Oh my gosh. Thanks so much, you guys. We will be back. I hope we may split this video in 2 parts. I'm not sure if Lexi, should they split it in 2 parts? We can't think right now.
Wait, before we cut, she never officially said yes. She just
Yes,
so
yes.
I don't know if she's gonna go into panda mode right now. If she's
Panda? Did the panda say yes, you guys? Kris is ready to do the panda. Slide out of his seat. Oh my God, Hayden! Lexi's engaged! Officially! Oh my gosh! I wish I had, I need to call somebody. I am so happy. Oh, bye you guys. I'm going to get out of here. Turn on the bell thingy because this type of things, we don't know what may happen next. I am shocked. I am so in shock. Thank you so much for allowing us to share this special moment with you guys. Kris did it. He hooked it up. It's just, he means the world to me, and we're not even going to talk about this little thingy over here, my little panda. It's amazing. Oh, Kris.
Love you guys.
Love you guys so much. Kris trying to mess up my makeup. You know, you guys, I packed this stuff on. Thank you guys so much. Hope to see you next week with follow up on this. See if I'm laid out or whatever. Thank you so much for everything. You guys have a safe rest of your week. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Turn on the bell. I think I said that. Ding, 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 ding. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Bye, you guys. We're going to celebrate. Bye. Yay. Oh, my gosh. I am so happy. Oh, look at the dance. Oh. Turn on Soul Train. That was so sweet. Oh, God. Guys, it's time. I'm done. Oh, it's a wrap. Oh, the way I'm looking. Oh my gosh. Kris almost gave me a stroke. Yes, he did it, you guys. Bye. Look at Lex.